Welcome to the weekly Comic Web Old Time Radio Program podcast. We sell old time radio programs, Golden Age comics in PDF format, and we have other free podcasts. Visit comicweb.com for more information or find us on Facebook and iTunes.
For this week's podcast, we found the most patriotic old time radio program we could. It's called We Hold These Truths, and it was about the Bill of Rights, not the Declaration of Independence, but it does have FDR and Jimmy Stewart. It aired on December 15th, 1941, which is 150 years after the Bill of Rights was ratified and just 1 week after Pearl Harbor.
We hold these truths.
This is a program about the making of a promise and the keeping of a promise. This is a program about the rights of people. This is a program coming to you over the combined radio networks of the United States, bringing you the voices of Americans, bringing you the voice of the President of the United States. This is a program for listeners in all zones of continental time, for listeners on ships away from home, for listeners in uniform, for listeners on the American islands, in the two great oceans. This is a program about the guarantee made to the people of America 150 years ago. A guarantee that has been kept through peace and war and peace and war. A guarantee we call the Bill of Rights.
My name is Barrymore. I'm one of several actors gathered in a studio in California near shores that face an enemy across an ocean now Pacific in name only. We are here tonight to join 130 million fellow Americans in praise of a document that men have fought for, that men are fighting for, that men will keep on fighting for as long as freedom is a strong word falling sweet upon the ear. What we enact here tonight has been enacted many times before in living flesh and blood. The people we portray have walked the world. The drama is an ancient one, the endless one, the struggle for men's rights to live their lives out peacefully and profitably in a decent world. It may be many of us people here are known to many of you people there. For with us, honored to have a part in this program of commemoration, are some whose names you may have heard. Such names as Edward Arnold, Walter Brennan, Bob Burns, Norman Corwin, Bernard Herrmann, Walter Houston, Marjorie Main, Edward G. Robinson, Corporal James Stewart, loaned to us for this occasion by the Army Air Corps, Rudy Valley, and Orson Welles. In New York City, waiting to join us is Dr. Leopold Stokowski in the Symphony Orchestra. In Washington, the highest name in the land, the President of the United States, Commander-in-Chief of the Army and the Navy, Mr. Roosevelt. But this is not a night of names, of personalities. Our names or any names are meaningless unless your names are added, unless you join us. You, for whom the sacred rights were written, and to whom their keeping is entrusted. You, the guardians of what has been bequeathed to you by millions like yourselves, and by the toil of centuries as dark and menacing as this we live in. You, the people of the Federated States.
150 years is not long in the reckoning of a hill, but to a man it's long enough. 150 years is a weekend to the redwood tree. But to a man, it's 2 full lifetimes. 150 years is a twinkle to a star. But to a man, it's time enough to teach 6 generations what the meaning is of liberty, how to use it, when to fight for it.
Have you ever been to Washington, your capital? Been there lately? Well, let me tell you, it's a place of buildings and of boom and bustle, of the fever of emergency, of workers working overtime, of windows lighted late into the night. It's a handsome city, proud of its sturdy name, proud of the men who stopped there and made decisions, proud of its domes and lawns and monuments. Of course, Washington is like some other cities you've seen. It has streetcars, haberdasheries, newsstands, coffee shops, and slums. At busy intersections, there are neon traffic signs which, when the light's against you, say, "Don't walk." And when the light changes, walk. It's a tourist city, which is proper when you think how much of history a busy guide can cover in a day, and when you realize that the District of Columbia belongs to all the people of the states. The tourists know that here their voices have been heard from clear back home, that here their votes are put to work. The tourists go to see the sights they've seen in 1,000 pictures of, sights so famous and familiar that they're thrilled to find they look, well, they look just like they thought they'd look. Washington Monument, for example, or the Lincoln Memorial, where the seated and relaxed Abe Lincoln sits between 2 mighty murals of plain words, his own words.
With firmness in the right, as God gives us to see the right, let us strive on to finish the work we are in, to do all which may achieve and cherish a just and lasting peace among ourselves and with all nations.
The city moves on busily outside the monument the tourist goes to see. The Capitol, the White House, the museums, sees all about him statues and inscriptions with more sayings than he's ever seen in his life before. They're wise sayings, profound sayings. At Union Station, for example.
A man must carry knowledge with him if he would bring home knowledge. Samuel Johnson.
The Archives Building.
What is past is prologue.
The Supreme Court.
Justice, the guardian of liberty.
But one of the best is in the Library of Congress.
The noblest motive is the public good. Virgil.
The tourist thinks that over.
The noblest motive is the public good.
And with this in mind, he climbs the marble stairs inside the library to come at length upon a case containing a handwritten document.
The engrossed original of the Constitution of the United States of America.
He sees the manuscript is aging, that its words are worn as though from use. The writing's dim. It's hard to make it out. It's getting on in years.
We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. Article 1, Section 1. All legislative
the words are
powers
dim,
granted
but
shall
not
be
the
vested
meaning
in
of the
Congress
words.
of the United States.
The pens
Shall
that put
consist
this
of
down are
the
dust,
representatives.
but not the marks they
Section
made.
2. The House of
There was a
Representatives
time when this was
votes
shining
every
parchment,
second year.
when the text was easier to read, when the ink was not yet dry.
Shall have the qualifications
Suppose that we
of the most
stopped here in modern Washington before this shrine were to return, go back a little north by east in time and space to one bright afternoon in Philadelphia. That fine fall day when deputies from 12 free states subscribed their names to a new blueprint of a new society.
and of the independence of the United States the 12th, in witness whereof we have hereunto subscribed our names, George Washington, President, and Deputy from Virginia.
Now, gentlemen, we are ready for your signatures by geographical progression north to south. The deputies from New Hampshire will please sign first. John Langdon.
John Langdon.
Nicholas Gilman.
Nicholas Gilman.
The delegates from Massachusetts.
Good-looking men, these. They're mostly lawyers. 2 or 3 of them surgeons.
Rufus King.
The gentleman from Connecticut, please. William Samuel
Broom there. Broom of Delaware. He did surveying for a while.
Roger Sherman.
And now our representative of
Sherman,
New York.
who just signed. He was a shoemaker before he studied law.
The gentleman from New Jersey.
That's Washington calling the delegation.
David Brearley.
David Brearley.
The gentleman from...
The man behind Ben Franklin is Alexander Hamilton. Ben's getting old now, 81. Hey, he slept off and on throughout the whole convention, but when it was important to be awake, he was awake all right, and active.
Pinckney.
Charles Coatsworth Pinckney.
The gentleman...
There have been men assembled in a room before,
William...
but never to a greater purpose.
Now, gentlemen, the others.
Well,
Abraham Baldwin.
here comes the last to sign now.
William Jackson, Secretary.
Well, now it's really the finest thing
So, the Constitution has been drafted, signed, and presently will be submitted to the states for their approval. Now, the convention's all relaxed now. There are handshakes, felicitations. Is everybody happy? Will they celebrate, do you suppose? Will Rufus King go home to Boston and be welcomed by a welcoming committee from the city? Will appreciative Virginians hoist James Madison on their shoulders and parade him through the streets, shouting, "Father of the Constitution"? Will a thumping band march up and down the town making a noise like this? No. There will be no band.
And I say to you, ladies and gentlemen, the heart of every man and woman, nay, of every child in each and every one of our 13 states, from the rock-bound shores of Maryland to the golden sands of Georgia, should fill and swell with pride on reading the noble and glorious Constitution which our wise and prudent and far-sighted representatives in solemn assembly have framed and admitted to our glorious states for their approval. And I say to you...
No. There will be no speeches. There will be no celebration. No confetti from the windows. Fireworks saluting cannon. Roses strewn beneath the coaches of the delegates. Instead, suspicion. Suspicion by the very men who fought the long fight so that there could be a constitution drawn for the emancipated states. The farmers and the clerks and the hackmen and the artisans and the grease-grimed blacksmiths in their shops. These men who only lately put away their guns and powder in a good dry place. These men who won a war of freedom, but who know that freedom must be guarded to be kept. And they're suspicious. And they're talking in the common, in the tavern, and in the parlor, and in the foundry room.
All right, what else does it say?
Well, that covers it. That's the whole thing.
Constitution. I don't like it.
Why?
Come here with me. Come over at the door. See that spire?
Yes?
That's a church I go to.
Well, what about it?
I like it. I'm a God-fearing man. I want to keep on going there.
Well?
Don't want anybody telling me I have to pray his way.
Well, who'd think of doing that?
It's been done. It's happened often. You ever hear state religion?
Yes.